So last session, we learned about the three ways of identifying the bean definitions and resolving them for injecting instances to the injection points. And we actually learned about the @inject, @autowired, and @resource annotations that could help us while using the annotation-based configuration. And as you remember, there were a bunch of situations that we came across that there were actually more than one bean definitions that could satisfy the injection point. So, and also we just moved on by just changing the name, and we just kept it silent, until this moment. So what is the ambiguous situation? Let me just first explain what is an ambiguous situation. So when you use @inject or @autowired annotations at the injection points like fields or constructor parameters or setter method parameters, actually, as we explained before, the way that these two annotation works is that they go and search amongst all the bean definitions and try to resolve the one just by actually comparing the and checking the types. For example, this injection point here has the type of engine, and we have two bean definitions, car and engine. And when it tries to inject an instance at this injection point, it will compare and seek a bean definition that its type could satisfy the injection point's type, actually, whether it is a field or it's a parameter. So if there are more than one, let me just copy and paste this one and name it super engine. And this one should also extend the engine. Now we have two components that will cause two bean definitions that could satisfy, both of them could satisfy this injection point, because their types, whether it is exactly the same or whether it's the child of that type, could satisfy the injection point. And now it actually brings an ambiguous situation there, so that the IOC container won't be able to resolve it, and it will throw an exception. So if I run it, you'll see that it will throw exception, and it will say that no single matching bean, found two, the engine, the one with the name engine in the super engine. In the same situation could rise with @resource. If you remember the @resource annotation, if you don't provide a specific name to it, then it falls back to resolving by type. And again, when we try to resolve by type, the same situation could actually occur. So in this situation, in this ambiguous situation, there are some ways that we could help the IOC container to resolve the situation. The first way that we could use, which is the easiest one, is that we could annotate the candidates, the resolved candidates. Of course, one of them. I was going to say at least one of them. No, of course, just only one of them with the @primary annotation. So this is the new annotation we are using now. Let's say that I'm going to annotate this one with @primary. So what it does, what it means here is that it tells the IOC container when, in the case of the ambiguity situation, and when this bean definition is among a bunch of other bean definitions, you could take this one and resolve to this one and ignore the other ones. So now if we run it, you'll see that it's just the car instance was instantiated with super engine class, because we made it as primary. We could copy and paste the primary, annotate the other one as primary, and you'll see that it will horribly fail. It will say that only one, bean could be, more than one bean was found that was annotated with primary. So it found two candidates. There were two candidates, And amongst those two, both of them or more than one of them were annotated with at primary, and it is not okay. So I'm not here indicating that you cannot, you should only annotate only one of your components or bean definitions. And you could annotate more than one. But in the case of the ambiguity, if both of them are inside the candidates, then it will actually fail. So you should be careful with at primary. And that is the first solution that we could use when the ambiguous situation arises. In the next session, we will talk about the qualifiers that will give us a controlled, a more precise way of helping the IOC container to resolve ambiguity.